So thank goodness, Doug, that they were able to beat the New York Knicks on the road in Madison Square Garden.
Needed it.
Yeah, you kind of did, and like it was awesome to see Charlotte beat Milwaukee twice. They beat the Philadelphia 76ers, so they got over that curse. That's over and done with. And then you're set up pretty well because then you have the Orlando Magic next, and they're the worst team in the league. They had 7 wins coming into that game. And the Hornets, it was tied. It was, around the same score for much of the game, and then the fourth quarter happens, and Hornets get down double digits, and I think you have a couple of threes from one McDaniels, and then I forget maybe it was like a Terry Rozier, bang, bang. Okay, this is where the Hornets go on their run to win a clutch time performance, but they didn't. Mo Wagner continues to hit threes, and the Orlando Magic end up beating the Charlotte Hornets and spoiling all of the good efforts that just took place the week prior. Now, they're able to get this win against the Knicks, so it's not all doom. We could have had a very doomy podcast here. Here you go. Very doomy podcast, Doug. We could have had that on today's show. But they're able to beat the Knicks. Still, man, like you feel like you missed one against Orlando to let us feel the best of feelings we could have had on this Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, it was just such a typical trap game. Orlando coming off. They only had 7 wins coming into that game. The Hornets had clobbered them earlier in the season. Yet the Hornets were coming off those huge wins against Milwaukee. They finally get the win over Philadelphia to break the streak, and then you got this Orlando team, and I was just desperate for the Hornets to come in there with the maturity and the understanding of the moment and the understanding of the schedule and the opportunity, and to say, all right, here's our time to make a statement that we're taking care of business. And instead, they got taken care of in the fourth quarter. I mean, this wasn't an example of a team. Sometimes it's a sort of any given day, kind of mentality, make or miss league, whatever you want to call it in the NBA. Sometimes even a bad team is full of NBA level players that can come in and just have a hot shooting night and knock you down. That's not what happened. That's what happened earlier in the season when they played Houston. That was another trap game that they lost, but Houston went on to win a ton of games. I guarantee you that Orlando is not prepped to do that. This was just an instance of one particular player, Franz Wagner. Hans and Franz really got us. What's his brother's name? Up. Is it Hans? What's his?
It's Mo.
Oh, whatever. Hans and Franz just completely.
You wanted it so badly to be Hans.
I did. They pumped us up is what they did in the fourth quarter. Just defensive breakdowns from players that shouldn't have defensive breakdowns. Like if you go back and watch that fourth quarter, it was Cody Martin, it was Miles Bridges having just terrible defensive breakdowns, and then you add on to the fact that they just have 0 bench scoring right now. They miss Kelly Oubre, even in the win against New York and some of these other wins.
97 points. Yeah.
Past 4 games, Jalen McDaniels has been awful.
Not been shooting well. No,
they've had to rely on Ish Smith, and he has not shot the ball well. Cody Martin has shot it okay, but is not going to give you the same kind of volume that Kelly Oubre does. So they just desperately need Kelly Oubre back. And that's my big takeaway from this Orlando game. The other one is the Hornets may be ready to get into the playoffs, but they are not yet ready to compete in the playoffs if that's what you're going to see from them against Orlando.
Yeah, you brought up, so as we talk about this Orlando game, they also just could not hit a shot late. Gordon Hayward was 7 of 14. Miles Bridges was fine enough. LaMelo was fine enough overall. Terry took and missed a lot of shots in that one. You mentioned the lack of bench scoring. McDaniel's 7 points, 3 of 6 from the field isn't good enough. I'll tell you, the Walker front court all-stars with this team, they have not been playing well offensively the last few games. P.J. Washington has been ice cold here lately. 1 of 6 against New York, 2 of 5 against Orlando, 1 of 6 against Philly, 2 of 10 in the second game against Milwaukee. Bad. The previous games, he was shooting really well, and of course, we've been giving him all of these passes because of his defense. And it's there. You even saw it as the game went on against New York. I didn't think he was great first half defensively. Second half, I think PJ turned it up a little bit, but the shot is not there for him. It's not there for Jalen McDaniels right now. They're undergoing cold streaks at the exact wrong time because Kelly Oubre's out of health and safety protocols, or he's out because of health and safety protocols, and you don't have that 16 a game that you could bank on. And those guys aren't scoring. That's tough. That's how you get 97 against New York. 109 against the Magic. It's not awful, but it's not Charlotte Hornets offense. It's not 120 like we had become accustomed to seeing. So it's been pretty brutal. You're right. Kelly Oubre really would give this team a jolt right now in scoring.
No, because he has that sort of son of a quality where he'll Kelly Oubre knocks down shots and makes the other team go son of a, like, we can't get back into this game because, yeah, son of a bleep is what they say, because they can't get back into this game because Kelly Oubre is knocking down shots. He's a demoralizer. That's what the Hornets are really again, even in the wins. Even though they've been able to win some of these games, they've had to rely on, the starters to play a lot better. Thank goodness they haven't played well recently. And they're finally back on track because they've had to be, because if the starters suddenly start regressing back to what they've been all season, then you're in trouble without Kelly Oubre. I mean, I get why you don't want to call Kelly Oubre untradeable, because that's a term that you like to associate with elite level players. But I would say on this particular team, in this particular moment, I don't want to see the Charlotte Hornets trade Kelly Oubre, because he both proves his value in his presence and he proves his value in his absence.
Well, and this is interesting too, because I saw us get tagged in one of these ESPN articles, Brian Windhorst.
Quit tagging us. We see it, okay?
We've been tagged a lot. This is a little bit different, which, yeah, honestly, it helps me with content, so whatever. Just keep tagging us late.
Just keep doing Walker's job for him, please.
Please.
He's not going to send you any money, but please do his job.
No, that's fine. Hey, can you talk about this? Hey, maybe not, but we'll give it a shot. We'll see if we don't have any content already planned. But we brought up, this was over Christmas break, I believe it was over like that Christmas holiday. We discussed some of the big guys you might consider trading for, not named Miles Turner. Nick Claxton is somebody that I brought up, and Brian Windhorst discussed that the Nets have been, maybe kind of putting some feelers out there because he is a free agent next season, and he's been somebody that has certainly improved his value defensively, really versatile. Offensively, has something to his game, is shooting very well from the field because he's shooting close to the basket really consistently. Either way, like, that's somebody that might be the happy medium to, we don't want to get rid of James Bouknight in a first-round pick, because the reports are that the Pacers want 2 first-rounders for Miles Turner, or a first-rounder along with a really promising young player. Like, okay, this feels like Indiana putting something out there well before the trade deadline, and no team is going to bite, and they're eventually going to have to settle for something less if they truly want Miles Turner gone before the deadline. That's what all that feels like. Good luck getting that. But with a Nick Claxton, is there a, like, McDaniels Claxton swap with maybe a really protected, like maybe a couple second rounders in a McDaniels for Nick, because both of them are going to be free agents next season? Like, what is, we haven't talked about the lower level but big impact type of moves, and I feel like that's something that is going to be kind of harder to figure out because we just haven't discussed it as much.
Well, and I think, it's difficult. Like, I almost think that the Claxton move that you mentioned there would be preferable, because then you don't lose depth, because like the exciting young player that would be enticing, even though he hasn't shot the ball very well over the past couple of games, is PJ Washington. But if you trade PJ Washington for Miles Turner, you're still one injury away from just being devastatingly bad, maybe even worse than you were before. If Miles Turner gets hurt, then you legitimately don't have anyone behind Mason Plumlee who can play that position. So play that position effectively, at least on the defensive end. So I honestly think that move might be preferable, and then you don't have to move future picks.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know what the Nets would be asking for Nick Claxton, because again, it's not like you're saving big time money, because you're not loading his contract off. He's not even making $2 million this year.
And the Nets are sitting pretty. Like, they don't have to do. That's the thing when you're negotiating with the Nets. They don't have to do any. They're not one of these other East teams like Milwaukee or Philadelphia or even Chicago that may feel like they need to make a move to ascend. Like, it's clearly the Nets and everyone else.
Yeah, it seems like they would just not be able to pay Nick because they've got a ton of money on the books. and they want to get something for him. And so they'll be like, well, we're going to lose him for nothing. Maybe you can hold that leverage against the Nets just a little bit, or maybe to your point, they don't necessarily care. They're not going to give in. We'll just go at it the rest of the season with one Nick Claxton as a center. That can really help us. Been out, I think, the last few games because of a hamstring injury, but nothing too long term. Let's talk about Built Bar. Built Bar is an amazing energy bar, but it tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar. It kind of serves as a little bit of a snack, a meal before you have to eat dinner or anything like that. If you're just really hungry, need something that has substance but also tastes like candy. I'm telling you, Built Bar is great because not only do they have every single bar covered in 100% chocolate, but you have the intersection of chocolate and fruit like raspberry, banana bread. If you want to dig into the dessert bars a little bit more, it's all fantastic. It's high in protein, high in fiber, low in calories, low in sugar as well. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Also, visit BetOnline while you're at it. BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as they continue the march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action of 2022. So, new year, new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. You don't have to wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and the easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Doug was asked an interesting question from one of his friends about Miles Bridges and where he ranks in the Hornets pantheon. We'll talk about that next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.